Hey, so chapter 17 na tayo. So, I think ito yung last architecture that I'm going to study for this book. And then, chapter 18 is more on recap. Probably recap siya. And after that, final exam na ako. So, this chapter 17 is going to be quite long. Actually, it's quite long. So, 20 pages ata siya. And hopefully I can finish this within this week. Not this Sunday. This week, starting. Anyways, so calendar. At least I think I'm targeting this to finish until 24, so that I can start chapter 18 at 25 and 26. Probably finish it at 27 and then I will take a 3 days exam for sure via ChatGPT. And after that, part 3 for the whole 2 weeks again for May. Then after that, pure AI study. So hopefully, if I'm lucky, I hope I can finish this in April 22 or 23, so that I can start. If I were able to finish that at 22, probably, and finish part 18, chapter 18 at 25, I think I have a chance to finish the entire book first week of May. That's the best outcome that I can have. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna clear those. Dapat pala, in-screenshot ko na siya kanina. At least 2 topics, mga mahaba kasi ito. So I cannot screenshot ng whole, more than 10 kasi yung pages nito. So, per topic siguro. Think pa hanggang bounded context siguro. I think, sige. Hanggang data isolation. While ChatGPT is analyzing it. So I'll try to read the book for now. parang madaling mix up ang service-oriented architecture and microservices. Parang somewhat, for me, they are look alike. Mukha kasi siyang parang domain, DDD rin yung microservices, ay yung SOA. Do you use Google Notebook? Actually, that's my mistake in studying this book. So, I think in the LLM, in the next book that I'm going to study, because I'm going to study after this software architecture book, I will study AI. So, I think I need to use Google Notebook LLM. It seems that it's more okay to use for studying than using the feature only of ChatGPT. And Gemini's UI is much better for if there's a long content in the browser, it doesn't lag, while in ChatGPT, if I have a very large content in the page, it's really lagging a lot. So I will try Google Notebook LLM after on my next book. I cannot migrate to Google Notebook LLM right away because I already spent a lot of chapters in this book. So if I jump to Notebook LLM, the other context of what I did here will not be carried over, because I'm also using ChatGPT to assess my understanding. So it needs context from my progress from chapter 1 to up to the current chapter. Okay, where is the index? This one. natural boundaries might be large for some parts of the system. Some business processes are more coupled than others. Here are some guidelines architect can use to help them find the appropriate boundaries. Data isolation, another requirement of microservices driven by the bounded context concept is data isolation. Many other architecture styles uses a single database for persistence. However, microservices tries to avoid all kinds of coupling, including shared schemas and database use as integration point. Data isolation is another factor an architect must consider when looking at service granularity. Architects must be wary of ano mabasa dyan of the entity trap. Discuss entity trap on page and not simply model their service to resemble single entities in database. Architects are accustomed to using relational database to unify values within a system, creating a single source of truth. It is no longer an option when distributing data across the architecture. Thus, architects must decide how they want to handle this problem, either identifying one domain as the source of truth or some fact and coordinating with it to retrieve values, or using database replication or caching to distribute information. While this level of data isolation creates headaches, this also provides opportunities. Now that teams aren't forced to unify around a single database, each service can choose the most appropriate tool based on price, type of storage, or a host of other factors. Teams have the advantage in highly decoupled systems to change their mind and choose a more suitable database or other dependency without affecting other teams which aren't allowed to couple to implementation details. I need to know more about bounded context. Pangit yung question ko. Bounded context is a core concept from domain dependent design. It defines a clear boundary within a specific domain is okay, bounded. So parang isolated. Customer in billing is not customer in support. Models become bloated. Core concept. Okay, so let's read. Summarization in ChatGPT. Microservices architecture first pass. High-level overview. Microservices is not just a small services. It's a domain partition, highly decoupled distributed architecture domain. Each service is dependently deployable. Each service owns logic, data runtime. The real goal is decoupling, not reuse. This is the direct reaction to the problem we saw in chapter 16 of optimize reuse, optimize coupling. Core concepts breakdown, domain-driven design, bounded context. This is the foundation. A microservice physical implementation of a context from the text defines domain, contains entities, behavior schema, is internally cohesive, is externally decoupled, monolith shared classes like address, microservices duplicate address if needed. First law of software architecture applied. Everything in software architecture is a trade-off. Reuse introduces coupling, decoupling introduces duplication. Microservices explicitly choose decoupling over reuse. Topology. What did I actually miss? Probably. Heuristic from the context, from the text. And they share data calling the only service. Okay, tama. Okay, so you design user service, address service, profile service. Every request requires of these three. One went wrong. I think it's more of how the service was designed, no? Because maybe this one should be in the same. I think this one should be in the same. Request, parang gano'n siya. Pero parang mina-violate ako dali. Every request requires all of these three. Medyo tricky question na to, no? Join directly to customer TV. Replicate customer data. Most likely ito siya. Kasi sa microservices, it prioritizes the duplication and reusability. Call customer service. I think this one, replicate. Pero medyo, I'm not sure what will be my answer for question 1. I might need to reread again. Hidden coupling. Two services must always be deployed together. Is this still microservice? Yes, I think it's possible. Coupling is still assist. Why am I lagging? Here, runtime coupling. Sorry, this is called temporal coupling. Now, transaction boundary. Sobrang short nung mga binibigyan ni ChatGPT. Parang minsan nabobobo ko. I think this one is transactional. Orchestration. Pero pa, ito, transactions. So, this is a transactions. So, medyo, paano kaya sasagutin to? Over decoupling. You split everything into tiny services. System becomes too slow and chatty. What architecture mistakes? Too small. Dito yan eh. Tight time coupling to. Okay, let's start to answer this. So I must always deploy that. Tempora. Tama, yung ano. Grabe naman to. So freaking out. Okay, I will need to have this kind of I will try to achieve this kind of level of answering. But for now, probably I won't be able to do that since I'm still learning. Okay, I will practice from time to time. Oh, okay. Bagay. Yeah, this one makes sense. Saga pattern. The same service, eventual consistency plus compensation. A tightly coupled merge. Otherwise, use Saga compensation instead of distributed architectures. Saga compensation. Okay. Your answer is too small. Alright. Opa. Because I plan to have a very long exam. That's why I'm trying to override ChatGPT. Okay, so this is the last page. Most pictures in microservices include an API layer sitting between the consumer of the system. Either user interfaces or call from other systems, but is optional. It is common because it offers a good location within the architecture to perform useful tasks, either by indirection as a proxy or tied into operational facilities such as naming services. sidecar approach. So parang here, it pa ng common service nila is service plane. So andun yung logging mechanisms and monitoring. Lapit ng expert chat GPT ko. Anyways, I'll just extend that one. Okay, so it's kind of expensive. It's $22. How much is it again? Upgrade plan. Okay, 1,100. So business is 1,100 PHP per month. Oh, okay. Wait. Should I go to... no, this one is first business. I'm only using plus... shit, this is $100. No wait, no thanks. That's kind of expensive, 5,000 per month. Wait, where am I now? Okay, this one. Okay. API layer, what it is and what it must not become. What the book says core idea sits between clients and microservices, optional but not but common, can act as a proxy, routing layer, entry point. API layer must not become a mediator or orchestrator. Yeah, it's because it becomes an orchestrator. It's just going to be a service-oriented architecture. Why this matter? Type to chapter 16. If you put logic together, work for logic with substitution orchestration, you just reach orchestration driven or SOA. Yeah, that's why it's kinda easy to interpret SOA as microservices also. But actually they are different. All interesting logic must live inside bounded context. Actual architectural insight, this is the line between technical partitioning API layer, domain partitioning services. Operational reuse, the hidden contradiction you already learned. Microservices prefer duplication over reuse, true. But now, logging monitoring and circuit breakers, you do not want reuse. You do want reuse. A problem, if everything implements their own logging, their own monitoring, you get inconsistency, operational chaos, great nightmare. So I think this is the one that we need. This is the one that I need to introduce at my work. We need to have also a common monitoring service. Solutions introduced sidecar pattern. What is it? Each service gets a companion component, logging, monitoring, circuit breaker that rise. Okay, structure important. Service, domain logic, operational. Key idea. Separate domain concerns from operational concerns. Why this works? Domain stays decoupled. Operational concerns are reusable, centrally manageable. benefit. Consistency, more infrastructure, more centralized control, operational complexity. Place without the main coupling, runtime overhead. Service mesh scaling to sidecar pattern. Now we go one level higher. What happens? All sidecars connect to service plane. Service mesh control layer. Parang ito yung similar to telemetry. So each services sends a telemetry data or for monitoring to a telemetry service. Then there is a service that receives a telemetry data. Service discovery. Yeah, actually true. That's why medyo nakakahilo siya. Pitfall. API layer becomes brain. You create SOA. Yeah. Operational standard. Every services in its own chaos. Overuse of service mesh add complexity without real need. Confusing domain operational concern leads to coupling. This one creates a service-oriented architecture. And sidecar trade-offs. I think this is more of the control runtime operation. I forget that term. I'll look at this one later. Yeah, I will. Okay, I will need to read this one. I forgot. I will need to stop here. I will answer this tomorrow. So tomorrow, after I answer that, I will need to at least finish front end. At least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5 pages tomorrow or 5 topics. Yeah, so this is my target tomorrow. Front end, communication, choreography and orchestration. Yeah, this is my target tomorrow. Facebook. Where's my other? Fundamentals of Software Architecture. Ay, yung nasa screen. Ito siya. Hindi pala kita. Ganun. Hindi siya kita. approach. So, parang ang target audience niya is from those are in developers role. So, parang magkakaroon ka ng parang change of mental model here. So, yeah. I think I'll answer this one tomorrow, pero mukhang I cannot answer. Most likely, I need to read again about this one sidecar trade-off. This one 3 and 4. Yeah, I think I can only answer question 1. So I might need to reread again. Okay, so before I end, I just need to have some scanning. The next book. I'm kind of excited kaso masyado pa ako malayo-layo. I'm still far from finishing the book for software architecture. Just wanted to have a quick view. There's a large language model. Building a large language model from scratch. I'm going to full blast AI development in the next in the future. Understanding large language model, working unit text data. So here I will learn how embedding tokenization text in token IDs. I hope this one is still usable today. Ilang pages pa to? It's around, how many pages is this? Mukhang maikli lang siya. 247 pages. Yeah, it's kind of short. It's a short book. Probably I will use Google notebooks here. Medyo luma pa siya, GPT-3 pa yun nandito. But still, I think the concept is still there. Excited to learn this. Kung ano kayang aralin nyo. Joke lang. Maganda yung it's not good to jump right ahead on this one. I still wanted to learn software architecture. Ito naman is more on upskilling for LLM. So para maging AI developer na rin ako. Oh no, codes. Feeling ko, even though this one is just a few pages, like 247 pages, it might take time for me to finish this because most likely I will need to learn. I will be doing coding here. Then instead of Python, I will use Rust here. Interesting. Sliding window. Probably I can apply the GPU programming knowledge that I learned before here. Alright. I think that's it. So tomorrow, okay. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to. Hopefully this week ma-finish ko na part 2. That's That's my target. I guess that's it for now. So see you guys on my next stream. And yeah, it's kind of boring because I'm not coding. So I'm trying to read more books than coding for this past few